Welcome to RV to Freedom Live with Carenza
and Brandon. Hi.
Hello. So we are, as I said, Carenza and Brandon, and we're going to talk tonight a little bit about hobbies.
Yeah, taking your hobbies on the road, having hobbies and all that stuff.
Yeah. Are you out on the road? Do you have hobbies with you already? Or do you have hobbies that you're thinking about taking on the road, but you just don't know if it's really feasible and what can and can't happen in an RV? Well, tell us right now, what are your hobbies?
Exactly.
What do you do right now? What do you like to do? We'd love to see what's going on and what kind of hobbies everyone has. This is actually just in the RV to Freedom Facebook group. We had a whole post on it Sunday, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and we've had a few of them, and it's crazy to see all the things people do. Someone loves dulcimer, so that's a hobby we haven't heard yet. Hey, everybody. I see David and Gwen and Sandy and Jim and Teresa and Susan.
Lots of
quilting,
spinning and knitting, crocheting, macrame, tatting as soon as you start traveling, Teresa. Oh.
Now, Susan, you said you're a card maker. What do you mean by card maker? Just curious what that is, because my hobby seems to be collecting hobbies.
I was totally thinking that.
Yeah.
That is your hobby.
I mean, I go deep into the hobby until I lose interest, and then I'm on to the next hobby. And I realized at one point that was my hobby, was just figuring out new things. So yeah, I'm like, ooh, I could try that. Prince is like, you're going to buy all the gear for it, and then you're going to lose interest in 3 months like you always do.
It's fun, but it's he does. But you've been like that even before RVing.
Yes.
He's always had a new hobby every month, something new to learn.
Sorry.
Hey, Beth. Hey, JP. We just watched JP going live on the Escapers page talking about convergences.
Yeah.
That's a hobby.
For JP it is. Yeah. It's constant.
The traveling to convergences all over.
Yeah. We'll be hosting one of the convergences for escapees down in Savannah soon.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So we've seen a little bit of hobbies. Keep them coming. Let us know what your hobbies are. We'd love seeing that, and then join in on that conversation in the group too. But let's talk tonight about taking those hobbies out on the road.
Yeah, and tonight we're keeping it light and fresh because it's just it's having fun. It's the things you do in the RV. So one of the reasons you might want to take your hobbies on the road is because you like them, and it makes doing what you're doing that much more interesting. And depending on your hobby, or even I think for any hobby really, you might find inspiration on the road.
Absolutely. We both went to art school. Yeah. So one of the things that we fell out of was actually doing kind of painting or things like that. But once we hit the road, I wanted to pull out pastels again and get pastels and try some of that because it was inspiring to be around all this beauty out in nature.
And photography. I mean, it's Prince went to school for it. I'm kind of a hobbyist at it. And once you're out here, there's tons of stuff to shoot. It's what we call a target-rich environment. You can get a little bored shooting photos around where you live, but when you're moving all the time, there's tons of stuff to see. But even for myself, what?
Julie said, Marty said her hobby's making me laugh on video.
But even for myself, like the places we've gone have sometimes inspired a hobby. We went to the redwood forest, and I don't want you cutting down the redwood trees, but people did back then, and they had to build houses, and that's how people survived. And I kind of looked at the history of these guys that were like way tougher than me and way tougher than any of us, really, living out there, cutting down trees. And I got all into axe restoration. Yeah. And I have 5 axes in the RV right now. And then another one was we were out west, and I'm from the East Coast, so going out west and seeing like how the cowboys and the ranchers and everybody was, and the people that settled the West. We went to a Western art exhibit, and it was all like leather work and tooling, and so now I do leather work. And that's kind of how my mind works.
Yeah, I saw that Jim said it was just a symptom of a creative mind.
Yes.
That you do that. Yeah.
And Julie did mention yo-yos. Yes, I've done a bit with yo-yos as well. Yo-yos. Jerry's got a good one. He's going to take his Can-Am 1000 around. That's a nice hobby. I used to have a motorcycle, so I've got an itch for a dirt bike lately.
Yes. Yes. Definitely some places to do that. And but yeah, it's very easy. Like the photography you mentioned, find inspiration on the road. You're in that target rich environment, and a lot of people seem to pick that one up if either they maybe did a little bit of it before, or you're just around all this and you want to just capture it and document it. So that becomes an easy one to kind of pick up and start playing with.
Yeah, you want to show people. And, it doesn't take any crazy equipment. Take your iPhone out. That's still photography, if you just take good photos. Whatever you have with you works. But, you'll find that inspiration on the road. But then also the hobby can affect your plans. You can plan around your hobby. Maybe it gives purpose to your travel.
Right. When we started, it wasn't so much my hobby as Brandon's hobby that gave a lot of purpose to our travel and where we might go, because he was is avid scuba diver. And so we would travel to places where you could scuba dive.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean just the coast. We were going to weird places in the middle of Texas.
In the middle of the desert, Santa Rosa Blue Hole and missile silos in Washington State. We never would have gone to Royal City, Washington if it wasn't for that missile silo.
Right.
Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Right. But you can plan around that. So we went to North Carolina specifically so he could go try to dive on a U-boat.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Never did make it.
That's just because of the weather. We went diving, but never on the U-boat at that time. But specifically there. Or I saw Gwen say kayaking, and you can plan your travels around that, around rivers that you want to go to, like the Green River. Is that what that is?
The Green in the Colorado.
The Green in the Colorado. There's the trip there. We know, so we had some friends that they specifically wanted to go do this kayak trip on the Green River. And
Dan Hemming is here. His hobby's motorcycles. You have
this
4?
Is the reason. You're the reason he has the bug to get.
Yeah, do you have 4 dirt bikes? I'm still looking at a WR250R that I can carry on the back of the Xterra. Dan let me beat up he let me beat up his wife's dirt bike when we were in Moab. And JP said kites.
I saw somebody say kites on Sunday too, and it's totally true. Brandon's been in and out of kites too.
Yeah, I'm always I jump from one kite to the next. I get a big one, and then I don't like that, so I get a small one, and then I get a little one, and then I get a colorful one, and all different ones. And there's a kite festival on the Oregon coast that I have not made yet, but that's a thing. Like if I'm near Oregon and I'm near that festival, that's where our travels are going. I want to see those the huge like octopus kites. Right.
But that's kind of a fun one to you can take it out anywhere almost. Yeah. And when you're traveling, you can go to the beach and do it, or find a big field.
And then for people that are rock hounds, there's places to go. But then even some people's hobby is reading. And, sometimes we were just meeting with one of your friends, and her boyfriend is super into the Civil War. So he wants to see all the battlefields.
They did a whole trip planned around that, where they went to all the battlefields, and that they could manage to fit in on this trip around the Civil War. Yeah. And so that's just seeing those historical sites.
And someone in our group said ghost towns, which again is another thing.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in there. Gary and Tony and Lisa, you guys all said ghost towns. And
then off-roading becomes a hobby, and off-roading gets you to ghost towns. And then off-roading takes you to Moab and all these other cool places. So there's a ton of stuff to do. And it just, it livens it up. So it's not always just go somewhere, look at thing, leave, go somewhere else. You can mix it up. But to do these hobbies on the road in a small space, you've got to think about that a little bit.
Right. You do need to plan your space. So depending on what your hobby is, how much room it'll take. If you're reading, that that doesn't have to take up a lot of room if you have a Kindle.
Yeah, but if you like books,
but if you like
books get heavy, and you have to think about that.
So it's more of that kind of one in, one out policy. Yeah. You can't always have a full library unless you have the space and the weight for that. But I still have to have I kept some of my physical books, mainly cookbooks, because I like cookbooks physical, but the other ones I'll buy in Kindle. But so that doesn't take up as much room. But if you're sewing, we know a lot of people who like to sew in their RVs, and you don't have to have like a whole room dedicated to that anymore, where you might in a house. Some people set up a whole craft room, but you have to think about where you will do it. Maybe it's just at a dinette or something. And this is
where you've already got some creativity because you're doing hobbies and you like to do things that are creative and get your mind going. Use that same creativity to figure out how you can do it in your RV without dedicating like a third of your RV to your hobby, unless it's that serious for you and you want to. For me, because I go through a hobby every 3 months, I need to stay flexible.
But we do fit stuff everywhere. So we do have a sewing machine, and it is actually sitting next to our water tank in our bay.
Yep. Underneath the leather tools and next to the car wash bucket.
But you can kind of stuff things everywhere. Brandon has leather making things all over. There's some under the bed.
And that's part of the creativity is like, where can I hide this? So there's some stuff here, there's some back there, there's some over there. But then on the flip side of that, don't hide it so well that you can't find it or that it's hard to get to. Because if it's hard to get to, if you're like me, you're not going to get it out and do it very often. And then it just becomes dead weight you're carrying around.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Jonathan, you're right. Digital photography makes it super easy.
So much easier because when I started, Brandon mentioned I went to school, it was like I was in a dark room all the time, and I love being in a dark room. That doesn't really work on the road as well. You could go rent some dark rooms, but oftentimes we're not in cities that have them. And we don't want to dedicate a space to that in the RV, making it dark. But now with digital photography, you can do that, and you're not even creating a physical thing that you have to find more storage for. So it's easier. It's kind of like reading on the Kindle. You don't have to find a physical room for the book.
And Gwen has a good point there. There's there's all these little little libraries, kind of a take one, leave one library that you see more and more everywhere. And they're a great place to kind of offload a book and maybe pick up a new one. And
some of the campgrounds even have their own little library system like that
in the
too.
Offices.
And I saw too that Julie, so they both love leaf peeping during the fall and a fun trip to follow leaf changes. And that's totally me.
That's probably what we're doing this year.
Doing, if we're going to be on the East Coast, I'm going back up to the Northeast so we can follow the leaves around. And
so Julie and Marnie, are you going to come with us? Are we going to caravan through the leaves? And I saw Dan asked about, he has a friend that paramotors and thinks that would be really cool to pick up. And he wondered if anyone here did that. And is that what Chris did? Chris of Chris and Cherie Technomatia, he did that.
Yes. Where was that picture? He just posted a picture.
Yeah, because he used to carry like the rack on top of his car. He had the one, I don't know all the terminology for paramotor, but he had the one that had like a little 3-wheel setup that it was like a little ultralight kind of thing with the parachute. And he used to carry it on top of his Jeep, and people were always asking why he had wheels on top of his Jeep, and he told people it was in case he rolled over.
Right. Yeah, he used to carry that on top of like his tow car because he was towing a trailer at that point. But so people have done it. And Scott has his ukulele, but Carol has a box of crafts or a whole bin of crafts.
Are you getting into gourd wood burning more?
So we just want you guys to think,
Jim, I'm sorry. Jim is right. The digital stuff is small until all of a sudden you get all these hard drives, because now you're traveling and you're shooting constantly. You've got hard drives everywhere, and you got a NAS, and you got routers, and all of a sudden this thing grows. I actually just traded one of our old cameras to a guy, and he's just getting into photography. And I'm like, here you go. Good luck with your new expensive hobby.
Yes. And he said, but he did say he was deleting the photos he didn't want to keep, which is a good practice.
Yes.
if they are not photos you're ever going to use, you don't like them, you got to get rid of them because they do take up a lot of room.
So, we talked a bit about finding new hobbies up at the beginning.
Yeah, finding inspiration. But yeah, you can find those new hobbies on the road. Like Brandon mentioned, off-roading. He's gotten into that.
And that's even started to kind of offset my scuba. So I'm actually starting to sell some of my scuba stuff so that I can start having money for fixing the car more. and a dirt bike.
And photography, we mentioned that's a big one that people find on the road or get more into if you already liked it when you're on the road, because there's so much you're seeing out here. Yeah. It's so easy.
And we have one of our RV friends, she's super into mushroom hunting. So they, when they're out on hikes, she knows her mushrooms, and cannot, she's safe enough, she won't kill herself eating mushrooms that she's found. And that's, that kind of it elevates the hike. It makes the hike a little more interesting.
Right. Yeah. And just even that, I know Julie mentioned hike on here. I saw that at the beginning, and I do consider that a hobby. Mm-hmm. Hiking is that, it can be your hobby. And as you're traveling and you're getting out in nature more, these are other things that people take up a lot. Is like hiking,
geocaching,
kayaking. The rock hounding thing, that's a big one, especially if you're in the Southwest for the winter.
Yeah.
Quartzsite is a big place, and everybody loves rocks there, and just even other places, they all go rock hounding. And there's rock hounding clubs you can join while you're staying there.
Yeah. And even things like golf. If you're into that, I'm not at all. So I don't
but we have friends who are, and they go.
We have friends that are super into it.
Yeah, go to golf courses all over.
And they get to try their travels.
Mm-hmm. They get to try different courses all over the place, which is kind of interesting too and fun. If you're into that. And we even talked about blogging as a hobby. People pick up, start a blog when they're on the road because they want to document their travels, and they find out they like writing, and it's just a way to express that and put it out there. Or even Sandy, I don't know if you're on here, but I saw you said you like to make funny videos, and that's kind of an unusual but fun thing to get into also.
Yeah. And I think, blogging is good in that respect, that you're kind of documenting what you're doing. You can share it with your family that they want to keep up on it, but also you can share it with yourself, because we don't really blog. We're not serious bloggers, but we do take a lot of photos, and we do Instagram. And then it's nice to go back and look at them and be like, oh yeah, we did that. And then we went there. Cause I don't want to sound like, we travel so much, we get to go everywhere, but you do so much stuff that everything starts to blur together, and you start to forget the little details. So it's kind of nice to be able to look back on some of the things you said. Yeah, and flogging is also good.
Now I'm wondering, did she really think that, or is she just trying to make me laugh? No, but Jonathan's making me feel old. Kids' version of geocaching is letterboxing, and I don't know what that is.
No, I think that's where they watch a movie and they put the boxes on. I'm just kidding that. Oh.
Yeah, and family all over. It's a good way to keep in touch with like blogging, or it would be fun too, is like sending them postcards, but you can make them, or there's the apps where if you take a photo, so you can play with your photography and then send that to them too if you want to do a physical thing, but keep them up on your travels and stuff too, and they get to read that.
And Allison's here. Allison said Chad and them just got into drones. And yeah, RVing and boondocking especially, super drone friendly. Because, again, if you live in a neighborhood and you have a drone, you fly it around the neighborhood a little bit, and then what? You're going to film, But RVing, you're always somewhere else. And the drone's great. We whip it out every time we're somewhere cool, just to, show off where the RV's parked and everything.
Because it makes really cool photos at times.
Yeah.
It's unusual, or it's exciting because it's from a different angle that you cannot get most of the time. Yeah. I won't say any of the time, because if you had a helicopter, you could do it. But
helicoptering, that could be your hobby. I've actually seen pictures of people towing a helicopter behind an RV, but I don't think that's the target market of this Facebook group. It could be. Right. But yeah, so what makes a good hobby for RVing?
Just really, it gets down to what makes you happy, but something that can be easy to do in an RV, something that, you can get out and do it. It's right there. You can grab your stuff. You can go. You can grab your book, go read outside. You can
like
grab
I'd say the vast majority of hobbies are good hobbies for RVs. It's almost easier to talk about what's a bad hobby for an RV, and it just comes down to
I guess a bad hobby would work with that too.
Or what are the bad aspects of a hobby for an RV? One is things that require long drying times. If
you like to paint.
Yeah, and if you like to oil paint, which I would love to get into oil painting, but I'm not going to in an RV because it takes forever to dry, and I want to move. Right. I can't have oil painting sitting around everywhere.
Yeah, so watercolor or acrylics might be a little better in that respect because you don't have to wait for months.
Yeah, and if you like to, tie dye or dye fabrics or something. Again, a lot of campgrounds may not want you hanging clotheslines up for long periods of time and hanging them out. But there are cool, clothes racks you can get that go in the back of the RV. So you could probably get around that. But one I actually saw, and it was from our group a long time ago. Someone wanted to do forging, like blacksmithing knives on the road. And I was like, I think that's a bad hobby. For a few things. One, it's loud.
Yes.
It's extremely loud. So if you're in a campground, forget it. It's not happening. Now, if you're boondocking, maybe. If you're really far away from everybody. It's also very heavy. All the equipment's heavy. You got an anvil. You got hammers. You got steel. You got to think about the RV. You can't overload it with all of your stuff and your supplies because, hobbies take supplies. And then you just need the space.
You need the space to find, right, where you're going to put all that. Not to say it isn't cool. Brandon would love to do it, I think. But it's not very practical.
And on that note of things I would love to do, but I can't do in the RV, woodworking is something that I'd like to do more of. But there are RV parks that have woodworking shops there where they have table saws and band saws and stuff that you can use. So that is a thing that you could do. You could, if you wanted to work on something, or if you just had a project you wanted to do, find a park. Escapees actually has some parks, and we stayed at one somewhere else that had a wood shop. But find a wood shop and go work at it. And there's also maker spaces in a lot of towns. Even we're in Kokomo, Indiana, which is a small town, and they have a maker space here in town. So there's 3D printers and vinyl cutters and I'm not sure what other tools they have, but there are things to go explore.
Right. And that's a good tip is you can find some of this stuff if you have the urge to do more than you want to carry around.
Yeah. Jim actually saw someone with a toy hauler smithing. I was like, all right, well, I guess you can. And, a friend who makes walking sticks. I've also started carving some walking sticks because we found some dead wood that had fallen in the redwoods. It's like, I'm going to make a redwood carving walking stick. But
Scott said he did brew beer on the road, but he had to stay in one place too long. So now he just drinks it.
Yeah.
That does seem to be a hobby for a lot of RVers, breweries, drinking.
And Allison's got a great point. If you like carpentry or woodworking, that sort of thing, maybe put those skills to use volunteering. And for a place like Habitat for Humanity and Escapee. We were literally right before we got on here, we were listening to a live video from Escapees. That's why I keep talking about it. But they're doing a Habitat for Humanity convergence. So you could go there and do it.
Right. Yeah. So your hobbies can sometimes help your RV choice too, because if you really do want to do smithing, maybe you want a toy hauler. Like Jim saw the person who was doing blacksmithing out the back of their toy hauler.
Or if you want to carry 4 motorcycles like Dan, you might want a heavy-duty truck pulling a toy hauler. So you can carry 1 motorcycle in the back of the truck and 3 in the back of the toy hauler.
If it's important to you, if this is, what you're doing, and you want to do that on the road, you can make decisions around it. It's okay.
And JP's right. I keep saying escapees, but it's escapers.
I know. I was
cool kids.
thinking that when you said that.
I should know better.
Escapers convergence.
Yeah.
Most of the time he says escapers and never says escapees.
I know.
Switched it tonight.
Sorry.
That's it.
My mind's in the gutter.
And Kat mentioned her friend makes walking sticks and sells them along the way. And that's something too that you can think about with your hobbies, because sometimes it's kind of hard when you're making physical things. What you like to do is to make physical things. you don't have unlimited space in your RV.
Yeah, you can't just, save them and decorate your walls with them because you don't have many walls that are free to decorate.
There are a lot of people who like to make jewelry too. And we actually discussed this in the group too, some jewelry, because it's like, you want to make it, but then you have all this stuff, and what do you do with it? So you could sell it. You could start an Etsy store. You could do it somewhere along the way.
But there's always the arts and crafts fairs and festivals. You may even be allowed to sell some stuff in an RV park. You have to check with management.
Yeah, because sometimes there's a lot of rules not to sell. They don't want.
But also, everything in life doesn't have to be about money. If you like doing it, do it. And if you can give it to someone else, it might bring them a little joy that you did, and it frees up some space. You can make another one. I've done a bunch of axes so far, and I keep just doing them and just here.
And giving them away.
I'm done here.
Just likes to do them. So
I really do want to charge people money for them because I spent a lot of time on them. But
But so far, you've given them to friends or family, or
I've helped friends redo theirs.
Right, or we've stayed at a friend's place, and so we're just mooch docking, and so you give the axe to them because they could use it since they live in a farmlet now. And so it works out well. And we even discussed in the Facebook group when we were talking about like the jewelry specifically, maybe you could donate it. So someone for like the jewelry, there's Dress for Success for women, and they could use it where that helps them get jobs. So they have nice dresses and clothing to wear to job interviews, and they get to wear it there. Or
you could donate them to like animal shelters always have. Not always, but a lot of animal shelters have thrift stores where they sell goods so that they can make money to support the shelter. So maybe the thing you make, they can sell, and you can donate it that way, or you can donate to other causes that they can sell or auction off to help them raise money. So there's ways to get rid of the stuff so that you can make more stuff. It's
or one of my hobbies is I do like to bake. I do like to cook. I can't eat that all.
It's easy for me to get rid of it.
Yeah, but I give a lot of that away.
Yeah.
We get parked around people, and I think this actually goes well with Marnie's marathon brunches that they want a toy hauler for.
Yeah.
I can just bring the baked goods and you guys can eat them, but I get to bake and I get to have one, and then they get eaten and I don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all. We just wanted to talk about hobbies a little bit because they make things fun, and on the road, RVing and traveling is a hobby, of all of ours. That's why we're doing it.
Right.
But, we're still living regular life. We just have a little bit more excitement at times, but, sometimes you just want to sit outside and whittle on a stick, and, it's cool. It's fine. A lot of people do it. And it's cool to hear all the other things people do, because I'm like, making a list of like, ooh, I could do that. And I could do that.
Yeah, it's so much fun to kind of see what people do. And I just want to say, Susan, that's such a good point. If you like to sew or knit, you can donate to hospitals for the hats, the preemie gowns, and all that. Yeah. And that's a wonderful cause. Yeah. And you still get the knitting in. And like knitting and that stuff is also good for dexterity. So it's something good to pick up and keep going with it as you age and you're out on the road doing things. So that's a great way to keep going with that.
And Dan, I will also be looking forward to me having a dual sport. Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would like for it to. But maybe I can just agree to pay for anything I break next time I ride one of yours. I'll still take one of yours, and I'll get a jacket that fits me better so I can breathe.
Yeah.
And yes, Pat, mooch docking. That is boondocking in front of someone's house. And that's mooch docking because you're living off of their land.
Yes. Right. So we mooch dock. It's trying to give a gift back and repay them.
Yes.
So it was the axe to some RV friends who came off the road but need the axe.
We did an axe for another RVer that we were, Tim
oh,
and Carrie.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we mentioned them 3 times in
talked
this.
with them about axes. Yeah, there's... we gotta get some axes out and get to work.
Yeah, we do have axe heads everywhere too, guys. It's a little crazy. So anyway, yeah, it is fun to kind of see what everybody else does and get inspiration from their hobbies, because it might open up some ideas that I hadn't thought of before. And it's like rock hounding. I know people do it, and I pick up rocks all the time, and I'm like, I really should look into that more.
Yeah.
So
well, someone in the group posted that they take the rocks and they wire wrap them and make jewelry out of it. I'm like, Krenza, do that.
Robin, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Do that, because there's a bag of rocks over here.
Well, some of that was for other people. I forgot to give them to my mom.
Yes, exactly. And you're around other people and you haven't given it to them. So, yeah, we are the long trailer now. She keeps picking up rocks. And
they're small. They're not Lucy size.
But they all add up.
But anyway, the point was, if you're in the Facebook group, go in there and join that discussion. If you search hashtag Sunday Fun Day, is today Monday? That was yesterday's post about hobbies, and go on there, add your hobbies, look and see what everybody else is doing, because it's a lot of fun to kind of talk about it and figure it out. And
maybe you'll find an RVer that has hobbies that you have, and you guys can meet up and go do your hobbies together, because again, doing things together makes it fun too.
Right.
That's kind of one of the reasons I'm shifting more towards off-roading and less towards scuba diving, because I can always throw people in my car and go bang them around, but I can't just drag people underwater with me.
Right. And,
I like to say
and although I will go with him on when we go to the Keys and in these warm, nice places, I'm not really one to go diving in a missile silo in cold, dark water. So he doesn't have a buddy that he knows. And so this way he gets a buddy that he does know on the off-roading. And you guys, if you aren't in the group and want to join that discussion, go to rvtofreedomgroup.com and you can join the group. Actually, any of you can just type that in and it goes straight to the group if you want to do that too, if you're already a member. But join that discussion, because it's a lot of fun to kind of get into it.
Pat said paracord projects are fun too. Yes, they are.
Yes,
that's another one I've done. I've actually done some paracord wraps on axe heads, on axe handles, and paracord dog collars for the dogs. So, and it's fun, and it makes you feel like you're doing something useful for hiking, like you're one day going to unravel the dog collar and save somebody with it, but you never do.
Well, hopefully you never need to.
Never need to, yes. But yeah, that's another fun project, and that doesn't take a lot of space, and the stuff's pretty small. So yeah, it's a great one. Cool. Well, that's it. We just wanted to come hang out, talk about doing fun things, and now I'm getting all excited to go pull out an axe and start working on it again.
Yeah. So you guys, let's join in, jump on that discussion, because it's a lot of fun. We want to hear more about what you're doing and what you want to do on the road. We'd love to get ideas. I know everybody else loves to read it, and you should see some of the stuff on there. There's somebody who makes cosplay costumes, and it's pretty amazing.
And there's the caricature artist, and it's a husband wife. One does really cool crochet. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, she does
crochet little characters, and the other one does like hand drawn caricatures, which are really good. And I went to art school, and I can't do them that well, so it annoys me. And now I've got to practice.
You have a great week too, Jane. We'll talk to you guys next Monday.
Yeah, Hugh likes to scuba dive also. So yeah, so maybe we'll get out somewhere where it's warm enough one day to dive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Kat's pasting her ceiling with all the maps and brochures and everything. And
that's another hobby. It's just the maps and brochures, but also just hitting all the parks. You know, that's kind of like one of those goals that people make.
Like hitting all the national park. Yeah. Things like that. It's another good one.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time, which will be next Monday, and we'll be talking about something else. And we'll figure out what that is soon. All right.
See you next time.
Later.
We hope you enjoyed this replay of our Facebook live show.
Join our Facebook community to participate in the live shows and learn how to live in an RV.
Go to rvtofreedomgroup.com to join the RV to Freedom Facebook group.
And to be notified about our next live videos and more, sign up with the link provided below in the video description.
We want to help you find your RV to freedom.